Hi everyone, it's Eli. You know how sometimes you stumble upon something truly game-changing in healthcare? Well, I found it. KinetiSense. This cutting-edge motion capture technology is transforming movement, assessment, and recovery. Imagine getting instant AI-driven insights without any wearables on your patient. That's right, no ping pong balls needed. Just pure, accurate data. Perfect for boosting athletic performance, pinpointing imbalances, and refining rehab. Top professionals worldwide trust KinetiSense to maximize productivity and results. Check out our partner page to learn more. Experience the revolution in movement. Welcome to Wrap It Up Sports Medicine and More, the podcast that gives you a viewpoint in sports medicine that can't be found anywhere else. I'm your host, Eli Halleck, and we have a fantastic show ahead of us today. So, let's get started. Welcome today to Wrap It Up Sports Medicine and More. I'm your host, Eli Halleck. Always great to have you guys back listening to our show. We have a fantastic guest today, somebody I'm very excited about. I've been getting to know him over the last few months and really like what he's doing in healthcare to, help protect youth sports. So I'd like to welcome today the CEO of Cognify Health, Christian Juzang. How you doing, Christian?
Good. Appreciate you having me on here, Eli. Thank you.
Oh, of course, man. I love what you're doing for. Let me explain to our listeners a little bit about what we've got you here for. So, this is a system, a new integrated healthcare layer for youth sports. Think of it, everybody, kind of like a designated concussion clinic for the youth sports systems, schools, school districts, and youth sport organizations, where you're trying to help these athletes of any age take care of their brain. And
hmm
what you guys have put together and what I've learned is kind of unique and kind of cool. And that's why we got you on here. We want you to educate, get the word out. One of my passions is concussions. I've spoken on it many times. My wife is a neurospecialist in physical therapy, so that's where my passion came from. She kind of pushed me into it as we started hanging out and just really got to know more and more about it. So would love to hear a little bit about how you got where you're at now. So maybe tell us a little bit about yourself, background, and what brought you to becoming a CEO of a major company.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate the description there. It was actually better than better than I could have ever done it. A little bit of background on myself, and we'll get into how we got there. Played basketball my entire life, right? Since I was 3 years old, and somehow avoided getting a concussion until about 4 months ago. Funny enough, playing adult league hoops, but was fortunate enough to go on and play point guard at Harvard. Beyond that, go play overseas and play for the Vietnamese national team. So I got to, even represent my country at one point in time. So
Oh,
just
that's
really
so
cool.
cool. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And again, somehow avoided, major injuries, knocking on wood here now. My brother played at Kentucky and UCLA, now with the Timberwolves. And then my sister grew up playing a myriad of sports. She definitely loved the arts more, but actually was the one who unfortunately dealt with the worst injury of all three of us, which was like a serious concussion. I happened to go to one of the better schools here in LA that is not short on resources, and quite frankly, had a really elongated, delayed, I want to say 4 month recovery, and that was up, right, left, down, six cognitive therapy sessions later, and a bunch of missed classes and tests and being behind in school, and you look up and you realize, how could that have happened, right? It's clearly not about the resources the school has or trying to band-aid that recovery later. But when we peeled back the onion, it became pretty apparent that it's about who you are seeing in that hyperacute care window, right? And so,
Oh my God,
you
that's
know,
so true. That's so true. You end up at the wrong healthcare professional who's kind of got a idea and dabbles a little bit. Oh man, I
Hmm.
feel for your sister. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was, at the time I was off at college, and there's a big disparity as to who I would have seen, right, on a college basketball team. They would have brought in a concussion specialist the next morning, after the
Totally,
game,
totally.
or my brother would have had someone right there on the sideline to evaluate him in the real time in the NBA. And that's just not the reality for the 60 million kids that are playing amateur or youth sports today. And so my sister was a victim of that in some capacity. And just like the vast majority of kids end up in emergency room or the urgent care. And it's not to downplay the incredible work that they do. They play such an important function in the healthcare system and work really crazy hours. And that being said, the reality is that more times than not, you're not going to be seeing a specialist in there, right? You're going to see someone who's much closer to a generalist, and again, worried about, is this person dying, and can we treat and release them if not, right? And so you don't want to be seeing a practitioner who has no background in neurology or sports medicine when it comes to your brain health, and telling you to stay in a dark room. As you know, Eli, that has been put away by the more recent research that, again, probably won't hit the mass health system
Yeah.
for many, many years to come.
Cocooning. Yeah, that's what a lot of people
Yeah.
called it, cocooning.
Hmm.
Dark room, desensitize them. It's like, what? You
Exactly.
want to do what?
Exactly.
That
Right.
never made sense to me.
Yeah. And so her getting off to that rocky start of cocooning, literally, versus immersing herself back into her lifestyle, pending, 2+ symptom points and all those nitty gritty things, set her off to the wrong start, and ends up seeing her PCP a week and a half later, like most people do when it doesn't get better. And that turned into a specialist appointment that takes 2-3 weeks to schedule. And you look up and you're a month out, and nothing's getting better. And so that, I like to think of concussions as a snowball, right? If that thing gets going, it gets really hard to stop. And that's when you see all of these cases that we found were way more common than we ever thought they would be, around 3, 4, 5 month progressions. I actually spoke to someone, funny enough, at your event on Saturday. Her child was out for 2 years, ended up having to hold back from school, and
Yeah.
was out of class for 9 months. And
Oh my
I
God,
mean,
that's
the
horrible.
realities are scary, and there's now a hyper awareness around concussions as a whole, to where this is very much a priority and something that parents are aware of a little bit differently than they were 15 years ago. And so we're really excited to be starting there and solving that issue first, but are, just as excited about being the first line of defense entirely, and putting a sports medicine team doctor in the pocket of, every single parent, school, and organization across the country, right? To be 2 clicks away from seeing a doctor, and removing some of the barriers and friction that we've seen in the traditional healthcare system today.
I couldn't have said it any better. I mean, that's really the key is getting, you said 2 clicks away, getting somebody educated and who knows what to look for. Because no offense, like you said, against the ER urgent cares, they are there, they are ready, they are doing what they do. But ER docs and everybody in there, they're concerned, are you going to live? Do you need
Right.
emergency care to stay alive?
Right.
Urgent care. Well, it's the next step down. How bad is it? Do you need to go to emergency room? Do you need to see your primary care? They just kind of weed between everything, weed out the bad stuff, and send them to where the specialist is. But in reality, concussions are so bizarre and you never know how they're going to act. You need someone that is trained and well educated, and that's
Hmm.
their thing. I
Yeah.
mean, we've talked before. I've heard, seen, been involved with some horror stories. And if you don't have an advocate, whether that's your parent, whether that's the student athlete, whether that's the athletic trainer, or, Cognify Health there to help, man, that kid, I mean, like you said, it could be 2 years.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
just horrible. That's 2 years of that young person's life gone because they didn't get the right care. That just breaks my heart.
And it gets scarier and scarier, when you think about how non-contextualized these things are in those environments, right? They're asking you questions from scratch. And so the really cool opportunity that we have in today's technology stack is making a lot of that data interoperable. And because we're not just some scheduling integration to send you to a larger system in a priority booking manner, we can really control the data as a whole, right? And start to tie what these inputs look like in the context of the injury to the outputs, personalized care plans, et cetera. And what that does for us and the sports industry as a whole becomes really, really exciting when you think about 5 out of 10 of these concussions going undetected and unreported today. The ability to now train something to start help detect things on the sidelines for, the schools that don't have an athletic trainer, who, so many of them don't, to start to kind of bridge those gaps, not only in care access, but just resources and awareness on sidelines. It becomes really, really cool. We want to make all of that data as a parent, interoperable from sideline to appointment, where the physician has a holistic view as to your history on this injury, everything in the past, and how we can personalize your care plan for every single student athlete that we see. You might have a medical history of mental health within yourself, but maybe your grandparents. And so, you think about 1 out of 3 kids today developing a mental health symptom after a sports related concussion. It's serious to be able to contextualize that information and potentially get ahead of a cognitive therapy session, or to prevent the next kind of physio like injury that follows in subsequent fashion to the concussion. And so we want to be preventative and make sure that we're saving everyone dollars and time and health post concussion.
That's brilliant. And I mean, I'm speechless. That's exactly what we need in healthcare right now, because there's so many people that go without the help, or I hate to say it, and I've seen it so many times before, and I won't say I was a victim, but have been, of a healthcare organization going, "Ooh, look, he's got good insurance. So why not do a CT? Why not do an MRI? Why not
Yeah.
do whatever scans and just tack on the bill?" As we both know, a CAT scan, an MRI is not needed for a concussion. But how often does a athlete
Oh
come
my
in? Oh,
goodness.
let's do a CT, let's do an MRI. Well, that just tells you if they don't have a bleed. And then you got to explain to the parent when they come back to the athletic trainer, which you brought up, and in California, where we live and breathe and take care of kids, only about 41% of the high schools in California have access to an athletic trainer on site.
Mm.
Now, when I say access, my listeners, I'm not talking full time people. I'm talking, well, maybe they come out for a game a week, and that might only be football because, well, football's football. Might not be basketball, might not be baseball. Maybe they see you once a week, twice a week in a little clinic if they're lucky. But then that happens. Mom and dad say, well, their CAT scan's fine, their MRI's fine. The doctor says, oh, yeah, we're fine. Well, that just tells you they ain't got to bleed and they're not going to drop dead. Thank God. That's nothing to do with the concussion, because now you got to deal with all the signs and symptoms. And like you said, the cognitive issues, memory, mental, emotional, just toil on that individual and being away from their sport. And I mean, let's face it, you were an athlete, still are, much more of an athlete than I am anymore. And once you take that away from a young man, young woman, they lose their identity and it becomes one hell of a mental game. And that gets added to the concussion problem. So, I mean, I love what you're doing and how it's going to help these student athletes get back to the court, but really back to their identity in their life. So, I
Yeah.
love this. I love this. So, can you tell me a little bit about the implementation process and how everything's working and the system? And I mean, that's the exciting part. Let's talk. Let's talk how we care for our kids that need help.
Oh man, I mean, we're excited. We're not sleeping over here. We're about a week away here from going live.
That's
So
so
we're just
awesome. I'm
putting
so
the
excited for you.
thank you. We're putting the final bells and whistles on this thing and making sure it's properly done for everybody going to be using it. But quite frankly, in the early days here, before we have AI voice running your Scat 6 and some of the really cool features with retinas and cameras that we can really bolster the product with, you could think of our patient portal as incredibly simple, right? We want to and have been able to build a patient portal that's so efficient that you can have an appointment booked in 60 seconds. And that's something that we've been able to just really hone in on and try to make as efficient as possible. No more calling three doctors and trying to figure out when it's available, when it works with your schedule. You're literally 2 clicks away from seeing a specialist, and that's really our big value proposition. We didn't want to overcomplicate it, so we're going to market with an intentionally simple, intuitive product. At the end of the day, we're working with different types of parents who are going to be registering their students or student athletes, into appointments, and just given different backgrounds across Los Angeles, we wanted to make sure everyone was able to do it and nobody was going to get confused. The healthcare system is confusing as it is as a whole. So we wanted to go the opposite direction and make this as clear as possible.
God
Where our
bless you.
complexity where our complexity lies is on the practitioner side, right? What our doctors see. And a lot of the times these appointments are so inefficient that, it's one, tough to recruit people, and two, it just makes the process that much harder, right? And so we've been able to templatize everything. What I mean by that is not only how are all of our automation set up from a noting and charting perspective to be able to move through these appointments in a very efficient manner, but all the way down to, the notes and letters that these kids need and that the parents need, right? Based on a personalized care plan, we might need you to sit out a PE for 5 days. We might need you to have extensions on your test and augmentations to the homework schedule that you're on. The parent is probably sitting in on the meeting and probably had to, be out of a meeting at work for an hour or 30 minutes. All of these letters are already templated and 2 clicks away for us to be able to write that for you, put your name into it, and then see it in your patient portal. And so these 2 week back and forth between athletic trainers and doctors and trying to track people down for follow-ups and getting documents and sign-offs is a whole other aspect to this type of business that we wanted to really streamline. And so we're really proud to say that we're taking on the complexity. We're making this as easy as possible for parents and students to get seen and then run along with their process, right? We're excited to hand a very much personalized care plan back to Eli and have all the documentation there for, the kids' augmentations to their return to learn and return to play, and lets you kind of execute that day-to-day recovery, right? And if things again escalate left or right, we're there to get, another follow-up appointment on the books in 24 hours if you need it, or if you have any specific questions, you're in a message box directly with your concussion specialist that you can send them any time in the day. And so just keeping that quote unquote team doctor in your pocket is something that we wanted to do and make sure that it was reflected, throughout our product.
Sounds like other people in healthcare need to really listen to your guys' model and direction because sounds good to me, man. Really does.
Yeah,
Uh,
the incentives, as you know, are a little backwards across healthcare, and ours are not. And I think hopefully people will see that with the product we're going to market with.
Now, you were talking a little bit about what you're going to be able to do. Retinal scans to check the eyes, patient portal makes it quick and easy. What are some of the, I presume you're going to be able to check, correct me if I'm wrong, blood pressure. You said SCAT6, so you're up to date. What are some of the tools that you'll be using? Because that's kind of some of the tech stuff kind of excites me.
Oh man, yeah, it's really excited, and we're really fortunate to have some of the best investors of the world, whether that's team owners across professional sports, tier one venture capitalists coming into the round to help make that a reality. So we're really excited about that combination alongside our product team to be able to have the funds to build something that can be category defining. When it comes to the technology, what we think about in the near term, we're making huge breakthroughs in the space in terms of AI voice and what that means for like holistic kind of health markers. For us, it's really deploying this first at the beginning of your appointment, eventually on sidelines to start to capture some of that questioning. For those who are listening, if you were to get a concussion tomorrow and go into an appointment, hopefully in a relatively quick time frame, you would probably spend the first 40 minutes of your appointment starting from scratch with the doctor and going over, certain questions. They might be asking you to repeat the months of the year backwards, and then they're going to time you, or they're going to give you 10 words to remember, and you need to repeat as many as you can back to them, and maybe you remember 6 out of 10. They'll score you. That takes about 40 minutes sometimes in these appointments, and quite frankly, it's increasing the cost of care, but it's also allowing that these brick and mortars are not able to see as many student athletes as they like, right? Because they're spending so much time. And so that's one of the things for us to actually achieve this pipe dream that we had of replicating the Lakers like experience down to 60 million kids is how can we unlock that time and volume. And so we're going to be deploying that for the beginning of the appointment, so where kids can just talk to the AI and do all the scat 6 before the doctor sees them. We want our doctor spending the 20 to 30 minutes building out their personal care plan and using all the other holistic data on their medical history to make decisions. We don't need them doing administrative questioning that a fellow might do or whatnot. So we're really excited about what AI voice can do, because then eventually, again, for Eli, those games where schools or teams don't have a trainer on the sideline, eventually what we can do is tie those outcomes and very much accurately start to detect these things, right? And reduce that leakage where we see 5 out of 10 concussions going under the radar. And so eventually what we'll see is, as a parent, if you're worried about your kid who took a crazy header and looks a little woozy, you'll be able to hold that phone up to them and have the AI question your student athlete. And based on those baselines that we'll eventually own, we'll be able to tell you, is that kid at risk and do they need to see a practitioner? If they do, great. You are now one click away within the same app to see a practitioner, right? And so kind of streamlining that entire process with the technology at hand is going to be really, really cool. That'll be supplemented by things like you said of, different type of retina scans that Apple has. There's a myriad of things, and I probably shouldn't speak too much on it and give our game plan away for
Hey,
someone
hey,
else
hey,
listening.
don't let the people that want on board or want to steal know. So yeah, don't say too much before you're in market next week.
Right. But some really, really cool things on the roadmap, and we're just excited to be able to again offer that at the baseline levels of sports.
That's just so cool. I'm so excited to be part of it. Now, you also have some very intriguing partners in this situation, and I'm not talking financial. I mean, although if they want to invest in a podcast, let me know. I'm
We'll
always up
do,
for
we'll
it.
do.
But you've got some very, and as it says, world-class medical partners and some pretty big name organizations supporting you. Can you explain how you came across those partnerships and how are they working with you? Because it's great to see that you're working with such great organizations.
Oh man, it's been a blessing, and quite frankly, they've been the ones that are able to make this happen. Lord knows a parent wants me evaluating anything about their kid's brain injury.
Yeah, no CEOs are allowed to evaluate. Fair enough. Yep, yep, yep.
You
We want
know,
those medical professionals in there.
that's right. And so they've just been a blessing. I mean, it gave us a conviction to really build this thing early on. I had actually reached out to the majority of these doctors just with cold emails. And so this is a problem that, resonated with them very deeply through their time in healthcare and trying to solve this access gap. And then, based on my history in sports and my credibility and ability to sell there, we felt like it was a perfect marry and something that was just such a mission that we can go solve together. And so I'm blessed and fortunate to have doctors like Mirio Cho, who's the associate director of the Steve Tisch Brain Sport program at UCLA. It's leading their pediatric neurology department through the lens of sports.
And that
Uh,
place is phenomenal. I mean, they take
World
such great
class,
care of so many people, so many young athletes that need it. It's like you said, world class.
world class. People like Dr. Vigil, who's the concussion doctor for the Lakers and the Chargers, USA Basketball, for example, and people like Dr. Rachel Cole, who's essentially the architect, right? She's one of 3 sports medicine neurologists in Hawaii, right? She's the architect behind that telehealth program and has worked with the collegiate teams out there, like the University of Hawaii, et cetera. And so we just have a group of superstars. The list goes on and on. We've got people from even UCSF coming in to us for the next round, and to be able to have that level of expertise around you is just encouraging. It's exciting knowing that these kids are going to be seeing the best of the best is something that I can go to sleep peacefully at night knowing, and we're not just selling some janky service and trying to get some reimbursements. Like, we are really building this with the brightest minds in the field, and I'm humbled that they're trusting me as a steward to go build this business with them.
And if this was a janky service, we wouldn't have you on the show. I can tell you that right now. I'm honestly really impressed by everything that's shaping up. And for those of you who don't know what you said UCSF or USF?
UCSF.
That's what I thought. So
Yeah.
UCSF, University of California, San Francisco, phenomenal medical programs. Oh my God, they are just amazing medical center. Yeah, you pull somebody from there, it's just as if you're saying UCLA Health. They are an incredible system. So you're really aligning yourself with world-class physicians, world-class healthcare. And I mean, you're working with the Lakers brain sport program, UCLA Children's Hospital, Chargers. And one thing I didn't hear you say, and I see this, is USA basketball as well.
Yeah. Dr. Vigil is the concussion doctor for the men's basketball team, and just really, I mean, when you think about these full circle moments of growing up and wanting to align with those types of organizations, whether you were playing in it or just wanting to have a USA T-shirt.
Oh yeah, what kid
My
wouldn't,
brother's
right?
Yeah, my brother spent some time in Colorado Springs doing all the mini camps, and just really cool to have those people at that level believe in what you're doing and wanting to put their name on it and make an impact.
So
Really
I'll be
grateful for those
honest,
guys.
I am more of a medical geek, and my brother, our producer, will attest to that. He'll just say I'm a geek, but I had no idea your brother was a professional basketball player. You were able to be in the Olympics, brother playing pro sports. It sounded like, unfortunately, your sister really, I don't want to say got the short end of the stick because that's a horrible way to put it, but suffered in a way that allowed you to see the errors in the system that needed to be fixed. So her basketball experience is going to end up helping, we hope, hundreds of thousands of youth sport athletes.
Yeah, it is unfortunate when you think about her being the quote unquote catalyst for this thing, but it's a beautiful silver lining at the same time. Granted that she is okay and better today, it kind of created this curiosity after she was all said and done and better, like how many other kids are dealing with this, right? Because if you have some of the kids at the best high schools in the country with all the resources in the world still dealing with this level of recovery complexity, I can't imagine what's happening at other schools where they don't have resources, they don't have a trainer. You got one athletic director overseeing 34 sports, and you have a bunch of part-time coaches, right? It can't get better there. And so I think hers was like a big wake-up call into how frequently this is happening. I remember on Saturday, just out of curiosity, I asked the crowd, who's had a concussion? And it was shocking how many hands went up. Even more shocking that when I asked the second question of, if you didn't have a concussion, do you know someone who has? Right. And I think the whole room at that point had their hands raised. And so whether it's affecting someone directly that or someone tangential to you, this is something that really does sprawl across the entire kind of patient population one way or another. And so I'm really sad she had to go through that. But I'm glad that we had talked about it a year ago. To see what we have built over the last 365 days since then is really cool.
You know what? One thing that is, I, I got into healthcare 30 years ago. God, I'm old. But the one thing that's changed since I've been at the high school I'm at teaching it is the knowledge base. So I started teaching a sports medicine kinesiology class and educating my students about concussions 27 years ago.
Mm.
Oh my God, the knowledge that they have now compared to 20 years ago is amazing. Ever since the change with the International Concussion and Sport Organization really coming out in 2008 and saying, look, we're clueless. I think, or 2003 saying we're clueless, and 2008 really stepping up and saying, yeah, we've got to do a better job. We've got to change some things because allowing a kid to get a concussion and going back in. And for those of you who don't remember, there was a point you could get whacked in the head, have your quote unquote, and I hate this phrase, bell rung. Oh God, that drives me nuts when a football coach to this day will come up and say that. And as long as you lied to the athletic trainer and said, oh yeah, all the symptoms have gone and we couldn't prove it, you could go right back in the game within 15, 20 minutes.
Mhm.
And just, I think back, we followed all the guidelines. We did as clinicians everything we were told to do, but they were wrong. So the fact we have come so far in the last 20 years warms my heart a little bit because I feel like I'm better protecting. And again, as everybody knows, I work at an all boys school. I feel like I'm protecting my boys a little bit better. We've got better research, we've got better care. We don't have doctors anymore saying, "Oh yeah, you got your bell rung, give it a couple days. Once you don't have a headache, you'll be fine, go out and play." And then they spit their chaw in their spittoon and walk out the door like it's 1893 or something. We have turned a corner and are taking care of the brain, and we realize how important that is now. And God bless you for what you're doing, your organization's doing. I'm just excited, and that's why I'm babbling and rambling right now. I'm really excited about what you and Cognify Health are bringing to the table to take care of our kids.
Yeah, no, I love it, and I love your enthusiasm about it. It's the people like you that create this momentum and create this awareness, and the system doesn't exist without, the passionate people like yourself. And I think that's why we've gotten along. I'm rambling about this thing from the time the sun comes up to the time the sun goes down. So no apologies necessary on that front. But regarding the research, I mean, there's a really cool opportunity for us as well to be able to build into that. I think when you look at the typical restrictions in what we've been able to do with research and having to get these grants from the NHI and having a very limited amount of participants there, we can only move at a certain speed. And the next set of outcomes and revelations in that sense are going to take years and years to come. I think what we will be ingesting as the first line of defense here at scale is so incredibly exciting, right? And I think that's what gets
Totally,
people at academic
totally.
institutions like UCLA just as excited, right? We will be able to capture concussion information at a scale that we've never seen before, and I think that will help unlock the next set of breakthroughs on research and getting into the next layer of intelligence to better protect these kids in the long run. So
And
I
then
just
at
think there's
some
a really
point, the
cool opportunity.
treatment and the rehab, and oh my God, how it progresses through the layers,
Oh
as
my
you're
God.
saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Elevate your knowledge, ignite your curiosity, and compete with the best minds at events hosted by the American Academic Competition Institute. AACI's sports medicine competitions feature practical exercises, challenging quizzes, specialty tests, and keynote speakers that foster knowledge and social engagement in healthcare and sports medicine. Go to aacitest.org for more information on upcoming regional and national competitions. Sign up for the ultimate intellectual showdown.
Yeah, we're just as excited about being able to service that, right? Because we'll have that information, being able to again help people do their physical rehab, right, over telehealth, doing cognitive therapy sessions, eventually getting into preventative measures after these injuries take place. There's a really cool way where we can service the entire flywheel, not only from triage and appointment, but into all the ancillary services that typically come through that to help ensure the best possible outcome. And so to have that all in one place and you're not doing referral to referral and physical rehab 30 minutes away one way and your cognitive therapy session somewhere else and then driving 45 minutes to another hospital system to get a checkup, we can remove that all of that friction. And so we're really excited to be able to again capture the information, make breakthroughs in the space, and then help be the solution as well.
Just wow. That's all I'm going to say. Just wow. It's exciting. Exciting to be on the doorstep of changing healthcare a little bit, taking
Yeah.
care of others, which is what all of us want to do. Anybody in healthcare, your entire goal is just to care for others and make them better. And this is just such a bitchin' opportunity at this point.
Yeah, it's something that's keeping us up all night. So we're really excited about the opportunity to do
I would imagine there's not much sleep going on, lots of caffeine, right?
it. Too much. I always used to watch my dad do 3, 4 cups a day, and I swore I was never going to be a coffee guy. But This is testing me a little bit, Eli. I can't lie.
Hey, and your Vietnamese, they've got some incredible coffee that'll keep you up
Oh
for a
yeah,
while.
it only yeah, if you're doing the Vietnamese beans, it only takes one cup.
That's what I learned. My daughter introduced me to that in college when she was at Chapman. She looked at me, she's like, "Dad, let's go try this. You're gonna love it." Oh my God, that was phenomenal. Thank you, Lord.
Phenomenal, phenomenal. Yeah, they got some good stuff down in OC. That's where you gotta typically go to get some authentic Vietnamese, either cuisine or coffee.
Oh, and
So
it was authentic. Loved it, and thank you. Oh my
oh
God,
yeah,
that was,
oh
yeah,
yeah,
just epic, epic.
epic.
With so much going on, you've got such a narrow window till we go to, I don't want to say market, but go to launch. What are some of the goals that you're working on for the next week? I mean, you got to be going nuts right now.
Yeah, I'm playing dummy patient in a lot of some of these, final testing appointments and acting as if I have a concussion. But we just want to make sure everything's firing smoothly and that we're not running against any unnecessary hiccups as we go live. But we're really, confident in the product. And again, it's really just the typical structure of an EMR, and we're using a world-class one. And we're excited about just trying to build a sturdy foundation into all the other lofty goals that we have in terms of product and capabilities. But as of now, it's very similar to getting set up on, registering for an appointment on Epic if you were to go to UCLA or something like that. So really just doing some testing here over the next week. We're really excited about the funding opportunities that are on the table for us. We've just got some great people around the table and kind of setting the roadmap for what's next, whether that's our next set of hires, bringing in a couple different team members of which we'll be able to announce pretty shortly. We're just excited about the next steps and just trying to put all of our decks in a row to best serve what we have found to be an incredible demand. Before we even launched here, we're well above 35 schools that have opted in, and are already aware of the program. And I think that's going to shoot up the moment we go live.
Now, for those of you listeners out there that are interested, and we haven't even got to it, there's a wait list. So if you want to become part of this future of healthcare, you can jump in on a wait list at Cognify, Cognify Health, all one word. That's the key. Otherwise, you'll be at the wrong spot. .com, and fill out an interest form. They'll connect with you. Make sure you're on the waiting list to be part of that active group that'll help you take care of your patients a little bit better. I know, and you say that. The funny thing is, I keep forgetting to fill it out. I just pulled up the form and went, yeah, I still haven't filled it out. I got to add our school to that list. That's my bad.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
I'll get on that today. I'm going to keep it out on my computer so I don't forget this time. Yeah,
We're excited to do it, and we wanted to make sure that it was a win-win for both the schools and the parents, right? We're as a company, and what we're able to do that's so different than the traditional healthcare system is we're able to take on the risks at hand, right? And what I mean by that is, it's at no cost to the school. This is a resource that they're aware of. We are operating as a medical practice, both legally and compliantly, and it's no different than them saying, hey, we know this orthopedic doctor that's down the street that does good work. Maybe you want to go see him. And so you get to point these parents in the right direction without having to deal with the typical bureaucracy, escalating all these things through districts and just like the typical ed tech sales cycle when you want to get anything approved and done. We can sit entirely outside of that and really just be a resource that you guys are utilizing and aware of. So I think that's been the nice pivot that we've been able to make in the early days, and get schools on really, really quickly. The calls have really just been about telling them what we're doing and making them aware. No one's really done this before. And so it's almost too good to be true in some capacity. But when it comes to the parents, we're running these appointments for free for the rest of the school year. As we move it to the summer, we'll be, in 80% of commercial plans, probably by the fall, be into like the Medicaid, Medi-Cals of the world. In no scenario, are we going to be sending parents home with like out of network bills or anything like that. And so we have the flexibility to really democratize care in a payment friendly way. And, in the early days for people who are joining us early, you'll get to even reap the benefits of that. So before there's even a copay, which is all that they'd really be responsible for in the longer term, they'll be evaluated for free for the rest of the year through the spring sports season. So we're really excited just to open that up and get people acquainted with what we're doing.
I mean, this is fantastic. It's such a different model. I know when we were talking, you said I can't even say the word. A little help there, if you wouldn't mind, Christian. If you could say that word for me.
Democratize. Yeah, democratize.
Healthcare. I mean, it's the idea is phenomenal because, especially in a big city or even in a rural area, so many patients don't have the ability to have quality healthcare insurance. You know, they're going to be Medicare, they're going to be Medi-Cal. They won't get seen by a quality concussion specialist. I can't tell you how many times. I mean, I work in an affluent area, and how many times their HMO will not allow them to see a decent concussion specialist. And we have gotten referrals to people that I wouldn't send my worst friend's kid to. I mean, it's just horrible. And you know it, and you know what you're going to get. And then we end up taking time to argue. And, well, you know, you're not a doctor. What do you know? Fair enough, but that person might be a physician, but he's going against all the data we know. Your
Mhm.
son cannot play again. Not right now. He still has signs. He still has symptoms. He's still got a headache. He's got a problem with looking at light. I mean, he's photophobic, blah, 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 just everything. And the fact that we can weed that out, you're not coming to me like so many others saying, oh, well, you know, I know the schools have secondary or primary insurance policies. Let us hit that. Oh, great. Just what we want to do. Because by doing that, it's going to drive up our prices and drive up educational costs. And education, as we already know, is getting whacked financially. So your new model is just phenomenal for the public school systems that are really taking a hit right now. The private schools that are, I mean, there are a lot of them just trying to stay above water right now with all the financial hits throughout the markets, throughout donations. This could really be the wave of the future that protects these schools when it comes to healthcare.
Yeah,
And it's such a different way of thinking. I love it. Outside the box, baby, outside the box.
that's right. That's right.
That's where you have new exciting things happen. God, and you can hear it in my voice. I'm just like excited about this product in what we're going to be able to do for our kids.
Yeah, 1000%.
Yeah. Well, you got some people to talk to. You got some apparently testing to be done on you.
Yeah.
Hopefully it goes well and they don't say you got to sit for 2 to 4 weeks because I'm sure you got a meeting or two over the next couple days. But if there is, you know, a few more things you would like to say just about the system, something you want to point out, some little pearls of wisdom, I'd love for you to take the next few minutes and just give us that bit of knowledge.
Yeah, I just think we're in unprecedented times,
Oh,
right?
God,
I
yes.
think that's like across the board, and we could sit here all day talking about everything that's going on around us. But I think in the world of healthcare, we're in a really cool inflection point where, some industries are being wiped out entirely, and there's different types of capabilities that could be beneficial or a little scary. I think in healthcare is one of those. It's one of the industries that there won't be wipeout, but there will be incredible augmentation to help one create a larger reach, like almost what we're doing, and two, just make things more efficient and more scalable. I think, at the end of the day, no one is going to wake up tomorrow and feel comfortable seeing an AI doctor, right? You want that human to human connection, and you need that level that to still be there. And especially when it comes to your kids' health, right? And so I think there's a moat
Amen. Amen.
around,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a moat around the business. Now, where we can use AI and where we can use technology is to help us see, one, more kids, do it in a more efficient manner, and then do it in a more accurate manner for the gaps in the system that there is not always expertise, where they do not have an athletic trainer on the sideline at the soccer game or when the cheerleader goes down. We can start to kind of be and sprawl across the system from end to end. And I think that's something that, quite frankly, before would have been really, really hard to do in the technological state. And so I'm just really excited about the opportunities that lie ahead of us, how quickly and rapidly things are changing. To be as naive as I am about the healthcare system, being an outsider, being, really just a venture builder and someone who's now learning all of the craziness about healthcare. I think it takes that level of outsider and naivete to think that it can be disrupted, right? To think that we can visualize and build a new future and build a new reality within healthcare. I think sometimes it always takes someone from outside the system to change it, and I'm excited to run after it and do my best to try to do so.
Well, I'm excited we connected about this. And, I want to give a shout out. Was it Darby White that connected us?
Yeah, it was Darby.
Yeah,
She's
Darby.
great. That's another one who's just
She,
an incredible person.
she is phenomenal. But thank you, Darby, for connecting us because, you need those people with a different viewpoint, looking outside the box at how can we improve this? And they don't even know they're improving it. You need to just look at it from a different angle and attack it. And that's what you guys are doing. And I absolutely love it. I am so looking forward to it. And I can't wait to be even more involved with this because I just see this future of taking care of kids streamlined and, oh, gee, just doing a better job of taking care of them. And that's really the goal, is taking care of these student athletes when they're hurt or when there's a question mark. Maybe they're fine. We got to know.
For sure. And don't worry, Eli, I'll make sure there's no bias in the results for any St. Francis kids coming in before they play Viewpoint. Don't you worry.
Okay, I appreciate that. Yep. No, I appreciate that a lot. Yeah. I wasn't going to mention it, but since you did, Christian did go to a rival high school, and we joke about that a little bit. But yeah, if you happen to take our big guy out in the middle of league right before a big game, we may have to talk. But outside of that, we'll be fine.
Oh, well, I really appreciate the conversation. I always feel, just a sense of energy and being reinvigorized every time I speak with you, and appreciate you having me on the podcast to talk a little bit about what we're doing, and just excited to not only serve St. Francis and some of the Los Angeles area, but hopefully, everyone across the country here in the next few years. So,
and this
really
thing's going to grow like wildfire. So I appreciate you, and I feel the same way. I'm like, and you can hear it in my voice, I'm even more energetic now than I was in the beginning. So thank you for getting me going today.
Definitely. Well, it's a pleasure, and let's go get some more coffee beans at some point.
Amen to that. Let's do that.
Be our last cup, huh?
Yep, I agree. I agree. Couldn't agree more. So, Christian, thank you for being on the podcast today. Thank you for being part of Wrap It Up Sports Medicine and more. Good luck today with being tested or meetings or whatever you got going. And we hope to have you back sometime soon and see the progress of how Cognify Health is going.
Perfect. Appreciate you having me. Looking forward to talking soon. Thanks, Eli.
Have a great one.
All right, you as well.
Thanks for being on the podcast. We'll talk to you later, everybody. Bye-bye. Welcome to Wrap It Up Sports Medicine and More, the podcast that gives you a viewpoint in sports medicine that can't be found anywhere else. I'm your host, Eli Halleck, and we have a fantastic show ahead of us today. So, let's get started.